Nikhil, hi, good to have you with us. How have you been?
Hey, Ashu, so good to see you again. Many thanks for inviting me. Today is a really auspicious day, Dev Diwali. I'm in Banaras,
Oh,
the
wonderful.
Dev Bhumi, but
Right.
certainly we'll start about technology and startups.
Nikhil, this is a conversation which is pending, right, for a very long time. We've had the opportunity of talking at a personal level, right? And I wanted to actually document this conversation in the sense that with all the great work that you've been doing at first, right, at IIT Kanpur, I think it's important that in whatever little way we can become a medium, at least that good work goes out, to audience at large, right? IIT Kanpur has been an institution of eminence all throughout, right? It's played a very, very critical role in whatever we see today, right? Nationally, internationally, right? And I think at first you are anchoring a similar wave, right? Thus, it becomes very important to have this conversation, right? And for it to go out to many, many people who can really take advantage of all the infrastructure that you've built, all the the softer aspects that you've built around innovation, support to go out, right? So I'm very excited about this conversation.
No, thank you, Ashu. I look forward and many congratulations on doing some amazing work as Asia Tech Journal, bringing the technology to the mainstream. There are not many forums in India where they talk about technology and technology takes a backseat. But now, thanks to the new IPOs of Zomato, Nykaa, Policy Bazaar, and Paytm, the technology domain is coming back and people are talking about that new age tech companies are there. The new people who are from normal middle class, normal working class, they don't belong to Tata Birla family, can become rich and can provide millions of jobs. That's something I'm very excited about. So technology can make a difference. We have seen in US and now we are seeing this in India.
Super. Nikhil, before we start this, right? Before we start our exciting discussion, before we start talking about first, right? And all the initiatives that you kind of, you've taken ground up, all the good work that you're evangelizing, right? All throughout the country, internationally, nationally, also with the government, right? I'd love you to run us through your background, right? You've been a professional, who's chosen to now champion the cause of innovation, right? I'd love you to take us through your background and we jump into the questions then.
Many thanks, Ashu. I have quite a interesting ride. I stopped calling a bumpy ride because a number of things you do in life are by accident.
Right.
You'll be surprised to know, though I work for one of the finest tech institution in the country. I've studied in finest tech institution, but my father wants me to become engineer.
Right.
And I found during the preparation time in after 12th, I found the Connaught Place and the morning shows more interesting than the doing the preparation. And I was never able to become an engineer, unfortunately. But I found my liking in the business education and did my bachelor's in business. Then I did my PhD from India in business from IMT. And at that time, I've become a business professor. I was teaching at SPJM. After teaching there few years, suddenly I thought that I should get some international experience and applied for Cambridge. And I got some scholarship to study at Cambridge at Commonwealth. So studied there for few years, but I changed my domain from business side from policy side. It's called technology policy. And I understood that how technology plays a very vital role in policy making at the ground level, or sorry, at the top level. Whatever we do, whether it's 5G technology, whether it's health technology, we are talking about COVID. COVID is all about technology policy. That when to implement a lockdown, when not to implement a lockdown. It is all based on science.
Right.
The millions and millions of lives, billions of lives were affected just on some data.
Right.
That it's a airborne virus, or it is a virus which is on reside on the surface.
Right.
Everything was science. Everything was technology, and the policy decisions were taken based on that science. So that is something. The technology plays a very vital role in policy making. That's something I understood at Cambridge. And then I was invited to become the director for RPG Group.
Right.
There was a company called Zensar Technologies. The Zensar, I set up the Zensar Center for Business Innovation. That was my first foray into pure innovation area. And I was able to implement the business innovation side from how the big organizations need innovation culture at the ground up, and can we bring incremental and disruptive innovation in the large organizations like RPG Group or Zensar. I ran that for a few years. And then again, the education, because once you are a professor, you are always a professor. So again the bug hit me, and then I thought that why don't I do a PhD which is more grounded towards social science and technology studies. So I got accepted at University of Edinburgh, which is the 5th oldest university in the world,
Wow.
one of the top 20. So it is Oxford, Cambridge, Glasgow, Stirling, and Edinburgh,
Right.
which are St Andrews and Edinburgh. So 5 oldest universities in English-speaking world. We have a history of 500 years. Very, very strong STIs domain. So I did my PhD in science, technology, innovation studies, where I was able to understand that how from the science and technology perspective and social sciences adopt technical domain.
Right.
And then when in 2014, that was quite a churning for me. The new elections were happening in India. I got an opportunity of working with General VK Singh for a few months when he became the new politician. He was an army general and become new politician. So he was quite interested, and he's a commando. You'll be lot of people don't know about it, but he's a commando. He understands security pretty well. So he asked me to take up some roles in the northeastern states. That propelled me to understand that I need to be part of the government.
Right.
At the same time, Chandrababu Naidu invited me to become the CEO for innovation at Government of Andhra Pradesh. So
Wonderful.
I set up the India's first innovation and startup policy at Andhra Pradesh, which is inspired 17 more states in the future. And then I landed in IIT in 2019.
Wonderful. What a phenomenal journey, Nikhil. I mean, I think that I've had a chance of talking to many people, right? I've had a chance to talk to many people who are working in the sector of innovation, right? But I think there are very few people who will possibly be, bringing the kind of cross-sectional understanding that you would, right? Because of all the diversity in your experience, right? And I think this is the most needed, right? When you're wanting to change the course of a large ship like India, right? When you're wanting to sort of create impact at all the levels, I mean, this is the understanding that we need, right? So yeah, I mean, I think this is phenomenal in that sense, right?
In fact, I'll share something with you.
Sure.
In innovation, since we are talking about innovation, so there is a triple helix of innovation.
Right.
It's a fundamental theory which talks about the one side we have a government, one side we have an academia, and a third side we have industry. And the triple helix is completed. The innovation happens when the 3 pillars of this triple helix works together. Then the breakthrough innovation happens. So examples exist of Stanford, Stanford ecosystem, Stanford, Silicon Valley, and Californian government came together, and that's how the whole cluster emerged. Oxford, Cambridge, London Arc, again one of the finest clusters. In China, of course, there are examples. South Korea, there are examples. And India, what I felt that there is not such arc which is there. We work in silos. Fortunately, I had an opportunity of working now in all the 3 the pillars of the helix. And the role that I am playing is to bring those elements together with the UP government, with the central government. Of course, I work for IIT Kanpur, so in academia, and we bring in industry through startups or even the established organizations. And the changes that you are seeing in IIT Kanpur the last 2 years has been result of those thought process, that how do we bring these 3 pillars together.
Phenomenal. So, Nikhil, we're going to start with that, right? Of course, we're going to cover each aspect of what you highlighted, right? Be it the enterprise, be it government, right? But we'll start with academia, right? Because I think academia is, I personally feel that academia needs to anchor this, right? That's where you have, the research capability, bent of mind, infrastructure, all of what is required, right? Industry, of course, has a very different kind of an orientation, but I think this entire combination is very important. So we're going to start with that, right? We're going to start with first, right? But I'd love to understand, Nikhil, that you're the CEO of First, right? First is a very unique initiative, right? This is actually a company which has been carved out to undertake all of innovation-related activities, right? I'd love to understand what's the construct of First, right? What are some of the themes that you're working on with? What are the key priority areas for First? I'd love to understand all of that, right? So if you could take us through that entire construct, that'll be very good starting point.
So I'll take a step back and tell you why the IITs were established.
Sure.
So IITs were established as a technical institution where the India was thinking that at the time during the independence, India didn't have many technical institutions. So on the line of MIT and Stanford, they thought that we will set up some Indian Institute of Technologies. So Kharagpur, Delhi, Bombay, Madras, Kanpur, they were the earlier IITs which were established in the 70s and 60s and 70s. At that time, the focus was technical education and research. And many years, this was a focus. Not much thought was given on technology commercialization.
Right.
Idea which was emerging from the lab. Unlike US and Western world, where the idea emerges from lab and you take it to the next level, you can form a company. Unfortunately, in India, we never thought about it. We were more teaching institution, and people have done outstanding work. We have seen IITians or even technical our colleagues have done some brilliant work elsewhere. So how do you do that? And this thinking started changing after liberalization. Then we realized, okay, there is enough materials there in our labs. We need to commercialize it. There is indigenization of innovation which can happen here. That's how we started looking back. So first was SIDBI. So in the year 2000, SIDBI and the government of UP gave us some money to set up SIIC, which was earlier called SIDBI Innovation and Incubation Center. And we ran it for 18 years, quite successfully. We are one of the oldest incubation center in the country. In 2018, the government asked us to set up a separate SPV, which is a 100% owned subsidiary of IIT Kanpur. But the idea of SPV is to give more agility to the process. The way that the government of India also set up their subsidiaries, we have Swachh Ganga Mission, we have Skill India, we have Digital India. So most of the things are subsidiaries which are part of the bigger umbrella, but they give them the flexibility, flexibility to operate themselves. So that was set up. So the structure of the first is that we run by the professional board. 4 are internal board members, 4 are external board members, and we have likes of Padma Bhushan, Ajay Chaudhary, who is the founder of HCL, Padma Shri Saurabh Srivastava, who is the Bhish Pitama of venture industry in the country, Shrikant Srivastava, again the started venturist, Manoj Kumar, who is the ED of Tata Trust, and then we have 4 internal members, Abhay Karandikar, Deputy Director, DOIT, and our professor in charge. And I am being the CEO, the member secretary for the board. So it's a professionally run board. And then we have on one side that we have built up a outstanding mentor and advisor network. We definitely draw upon our own alumni, but that is not limited. We also draw upon any expert which wish to contribute. Now, the beauty of the first is that we are sector agnostic. And we are also, let me give you, which is bring a smile to a lot of faces, which we are also IIT agnostic.
Oh, interesting.
Lot of people think that the IIT, because it is an IIT institution, we will only admit companies which are formed by IITs, but it's not true. Only 37% of our companies are incubated by IITs, including IIT Kanpur alumni or students. More than 65% of the companies comes from outside, and we have companies which are formed by 16-year-old kid and also 63-year-old grassroots worker who is barely 12th pass, but they are brilliant. So brilliance does not mean that you education does not bring brilliance. Let me tell you, and I can make this statement, and people will agree with me. Brilliance comes automatically. Brilliance comes by education. Shape it up. That's the only role of the education. Education does not bring brilliance. Education shape it up. So brilliance can come, and we are what we consider ourselves that we bring in the brilliance, we bring the brilliant idea, and we shape it up the way it can see the future. And some of the finest companies that we have today are founded by people who are absolutely have no background from any of the technical institutions, and we are quite proud of it. So that way we have companies formed by doctors, we have engineers, we have even the bachelor in history guys who have formed the companies, and most of them are doing well. And so we have now 3 or 4 pillars of first. The first, there's one SIIC, which is Startup Incubation and Innovation Center, which is the part of the, we call ourselves the Technology Business Incubator. So any company which is formed in the IIT campus has to be formed at SIIC. So we have a separate cybersecurity center, which is a separate Section 8 company. But all the companies which are registered at cybersecurity center are also mentored by FIRST. So today we have the largest cohort of cybersecurity startups in the country, 33 startups we have
Very nice.
in cybersecurity.
Right.
Then recently we have set up the Center for Artificial Intelligence, funded by the government of UP along with FICCI.
Right.
25 more startups will come in the next 6 months' time. We will again incubate it at first.
Right.
In total, we run a program with Tata Trust and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which is called India Angel Incubation Network,
right.
India Agriculture Incubation Network, which incubate agri-tech startups. We run a program run by Citibank and a number of institutions.
Interesting.
In total, as of today, as we speak, we have 110 registered startups, and close to 40 startups are in pipeline, which will be registered in next 6 to 8 weeks time, depending on the legal formalities.
Right.
So in total, I would say by the year end, we will have 150 startups incubated at first. That makes us the largest tech incubator in the country, which has such a large currently incubated companies.
Fantastic. That's a large number, Nikhil, right? That's a large number. I'd love to discuss more with you on the construct of the portfolio. But before I do that, I'd love to understand the process, right? What's the process of incubation? Because, many incubators today offer multiple programs, right? There are some incubators that will offer, let's say, 3-month program, which could be a prepper program. There are some which are, slightly longer programs, right? So you can have a 15-month program, you can have a 24-month program, right? And depending on, where the company stands, right? It could be an idea which has just come together, or it could be a company which is in, say, certain, just before MVP, closer to MVP, they need some more market traction and stuff like that, right? So I'd love to understand process of selection, right? Are there multiple intake programs that you run, or is there just one single window where you can apply on an ongoing basis, you accept it, and then of course handheld into the entire process? I'd love to understand that.
So Ashu, primarily we have a rolling program.
Okay.
Every month, potential incubators can apply to us. Approximately, we receive anything between 80 to 100 applications a month. We take 3 or 4 selected candidates, and the process of selection is quite stringent. They have to apply on our website, sicincubator.com. Once the application is made, then there is an internal panel of experts which look after the application and shortlist them if they are worthy enough to be presented to the next level or not.
Right.
Then there is a further investigation required to send it to external expert. Then we do that at that level and seek their reviews. Once we have decided on, out of, let's say, 100 applications, 20 are the worthy of listening to, then we invite them for a face-to-face interaction where there are external experts, our internal professors. It's a team anything between 10 to 12 people. Listen to a startup. We give them 30 minutes to make their presentation. They make their presentation and we identify what are the nuances, whether we can work with them. There's a technology, has a potential. There is something USP, the team is strong or not. Is the idea we are not just looking for a unique idea, but we're looking for a workable idea.
Right.
Because every idea is a good idea. You start making a t-shirt is a great idea.
Right.
You set up, somebody thought that, I'll set up a Zoom. Zoom is the largest VoIP company in the world today, in just 2 years' time. So every idea is a great idea. It's just the execution that matters. That's a team is needed. So we look after number of aspects, and then we invited company to incubate with us.
Interesting.
Then there are certain programs which are also run on a cohort basis because they are as demanded by the funding agencies.
Right.
For example, our Artificial Intelligence Center, they run a cohort-based programs, which is every 6 months' time. There are some smaller programs which we take on a not on a rolling basis, but on a certain period of time, and then you have to graduate. But any company which comes in, regardless of the cohort or anything, if they are incubated with us, they have 2 years to get the support of the incubator, and we provide multiple support, not only in terms of funding. They can apply to a number of funds that are available to us. Of course, the coming to incubator does not guarantee you a fund, but most likely most of the companies do get some fund. Internally, you have to apply for various funding. You have to prove that you are in need of the funding, your technology actually need that kind of money. And the funding can range from 5 lakhs to 50 lakhs, depending on the need. And multiple fundings are needed. Like the companies, typically, the good quality companies can raise up to 3-4 crores of funding. And we have examples of that. From the incubator itself, And of course, when the company goes out and they start diluting their equity, they can raise any amount they want.
Fantastic.
So we provide them lab supports, because some of the things that is very unique to IIT Kanpur as a policy
Right.
from the institute side, that any company which is incubated at IIT Kanpur have exactly the same access to the infrastructure, which is labs or
Interesting.
library or anything, as any professor of IIT Kanpur.
Wow, that's
So there is
wonderful.
no discrimination. We don't believe in discrimination. So everybody has same access. Of course, they have to book the lab or they have to
Sure.
use the equipment, but they have a same right of usage,
That's wonderful.
which makes it unique. Because we believe that there is no point in spending the money twice. There is
Right.
the equipment which is available, which is like maybe costing you 50 crores or 100 crores.
Right.
It is impossible for any company to buy at early stage. So use that equipment. There are certain unique things that we have. For example, we have our own aerostrip. We are
Right.
the only institutions in India. We have our own aerostrip. We have our own aerodrome. We have 6-7 gliders.
Right.
We have our own wind tunnel. Our biosciences lab has an animal house. It's a
Right.
fairly expensive proposition to maintain an animal house.
Right.
So these are the quite a unique propositions which we bring into the table.
Interesting.
Outstanding mentors. Any company can speak to the professor. There are 600-700 professors available, scholars available in the campus. You can speak to them. If you wish to take their insight, you can take them. We allow the professors to come on board as a shareholder.
Oh, wonderful.
They can become an advisor into a company. The companies can give them some percentage as an equity.
Right.
Number of people do that because they spend time and effort into doing that.
Sure.
That is possible. The two other things that we did, which was again first in the country, you will be surprised to know, because I was doing little criticism of the education system earlier, that we were not promoting commercialization education.
Right.
But in India, unfortunately, in the past, the professors were not allowed to form a company.
Right.
They were meant to teach.
Right.
My simple logic was that how can you teach entrepreneur if, or how you can teach commercialization of technology until as you know that how the technology is used.
Absolutely.
So I think the government realized that, and they allowed IIT to form a policy. We are one of the first ones to form a faculty entrepreneurship policy. Today, we have close to 15 companies which are formed by faculty members.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
They are not only a professor of IIT Kanpur, but they are entrepreneurs, and some of them doing exceptionally well.
Phenomenal.
Checo, Endor Air, they're all faculty-led companies doing exceptionally well, and they have business. The professors are doing more business than what they were ever earn in their whole lifetime.
Right. No, that's amazing. That's amazing, Nikhil. Sorry, I've interjected, right?
Yeah.
Nikhil, one question that I want to understand, right? So I think you've given us a fantastic, background into the entire mechanics of it. I think you've covered pretty much all the points, right? And I'm actually amazed by the fact that infrastructure is available at an equal right for everybody who's say incubated IIT Kanpur, which is phenomenal, right? I think IITs today have the infrastructure which is not, no other institution can possibly be parallel to that, right? It's one of the finest, right? And I think making the faculty available is an add-on, right? And also faculty being now a participant in that growth process is a massive step, right? Because they've otherwise not been incentivized for that research bent of mind, right? And I think this is amazing, right? So kudos to you and the team at First, right? And the larger group of governance, right? Which is managing this entire initiative. Nikhil, I want to move to a very important point, right? In this entire scheme of things, right? Now, typically when you talk of an IIT, right? What is understood or at a distance, what seems to be the case is that largely all technology related businesses, and when I say technology, I don't mean just a delivery mechanism related technology, right? What I essentially mean is that we're talking about deep tech, right? We're talking about research, right? We're talking about product level innovation to come through. We're not companies that are possibly bridging the gap or identifying certain certain opportunities that existed in a physical format and now kind of digitize those opportunities, right, and become scalable businesses, for example, are less of a priority. Is that a correct understanding, or am I completely wrong on this assessment, right? You're kind of backing companies where you were backing category A companies, which are deep tech and research oriented companies. And you're also backing companies which could be much faster digitizing something that exists in an offline format, right? For example, e-commerce, right? Now, of course, it's passe, right? We've been in that generation. We've seen e-commerce for 10 years, right? Plus, but there are many other things that are coming to fore. Fintech, for example, right, is not necessarily an engineering disruption, right, that we're making, or engineering-led disruption that we're making, right? Essentially, what we're doing is we're digitizing certain processes. We are bringing in intelligence and IP within those processes to make that entire process efficient, right? Am I correct to understand that engineering continues to be the focus, or you are agnostic across the board, right? Companies, and you're assessing companies at an impact level, right, on the opportunity that exists in India. What is the right way to cut it for each one who's going to watch this piece, right, and who can apply?
So certainly that was the case earlier, because most of the companies are coming from the labs, and the fundamental research was there, and when we talk about the technology commercialization, but that's not the case now. We are sector agnostic. As I have said, we have 33 companies in cybersecurity. Of course, cybersecurity is also quite a technical field. It is not, as people say, that culmination of something, but it requires a different kind of understanding.
Sure.
And then we have Center for Artificial Intelligence. So anything which is require intelligence, machine learning, is certainly we have fintech companies. We have companies like Arthvedika and number of companies which are digitizing or which are doing digital transformation of banks and financial institutions. We run a program with Citibank and T-Hub, where we will be taking number of fintech companies. So it's not the case, but however, as I have said, we try to take companies which even technology, I'll say information technology. People have a sort of misconception. It is so easy to do Zomato. Or like I would say in Hindi, I would say उसमें क्या है? वहाँ से खाना उठाया और वहाँ से खाना दे दिया. But it's not the case. It requires a huge effort of logistics. The kind of algorithm, like the kind of mathematics which has gone into the designing the whole ecosystem. If some of the science students recall the transportation problems, the moving salesman problems. So these are some of the fundamental of logistics that, if there is a Zomato picker who is picking up the food and which is giving it to 5 different places, how he should move, which is reduce the time of moving. It requires a fundamental algorithm and mathematics to understand that. So in Flipkart or even Nykaa, everything is based on hardcore sciences. And let me, I'm not detesting the new people who wish to come into the startups, but don't jump on something by looking at it. Okay, Zomato has become popular. Oh, I can also deliver food. But that's not the case. I'm sure Dipen Goyal and the team must have spent not just thousands of hours, millions of hours in understanding the technology, technical issues, security issues, artificial intelligence, logistics, and mathematics behind it. And that makes them great.
Absolutely.
It's a really, really hard work. So we are welcoming like digital transformation. People say, oh, cryptocurrency is so easy. Somebody who have thought about the cryptocurrency 10 years back, imagine the brilliance that person has in developing something which cannot be broken, which is based on trust, the whole blockchain scenario. So anybody who is forming a new company should look at the solution side of it, should not look at the greed side of it. Zomato has become 100,000. अरे उसमें क्या है, उसने क्या क्या खाना इधर उधर पहुंचाया, उसको 1 लाख करोड़ की बेच दिया, बहुत आसान है, तो IPO कर लिया, वो कर लिया. But I still remember a quote from PV Sandhu, one of my very favorite player, because I used to play badminton. So unfortunately, when I was in Hyderabad, I met her a few times. So Sandhu said once when she won the silver medal, somebody asked her, like, how you become an overnight success? He said, 12 years of waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning, 365 days, no breaks, 7 days a week, thousands and thousands of hours. That made me overnight success.
No,
so
I think
it is not just like a half an hour of match, but that half an hour of match or that success of 100 lakh crore has given millions of hours, thousands of people. Today, again, and these are disruptive people. They are just come from, as I have in the beginning of the interview, I said, from the middle class family without
Right.
any baggage, without any background. They were like eating same anda bhurji and paratha in one of the campuses.
Right.
And they come with an idea. And it's not also the case that you need to be technology qualified.
Right.
You can do some brilliant work. Take example of Falguni. Falguni was a banker,
Right.
a typical banker. She's doing investment, she's opening accounts, she's meeting clients. She of course become quite a senior lady, and she started late. Like she started 10 years back. Today Falguni must be almost 60. If I am not wrong, pardon me if I'm wrong.
No, she started 50. You're right. You're right.
Never guess the age of a lady.
Yes.
But she started at the age of 50.
Right.
And within 10 years time, it's a hardcore tech company. Nykaa is a hardcore tech company. It's an online Nykaa.com. And then they have gone from clicks to bricks. It was not bricks to clicks. Build up a technology company without having a technological background and sold it for one of the finest IPOs. She became a billionaire of $6.5 billion. That's a great example. You can start anytime.
And I think
age to start up.
And I think that's what First is enabling, right? I think everybody's welcome, right?
Everybody's welcome. It's a party going on. Jump in.
Fantastic. Nikhil, I'm going to move to a slightly more important question, right? And I think this is a question which is important at a more macro level, right? When it comes to say roles of incubators, accelerators and large, right? What we are actually seeing is there are a lot of funds. For example, I mean, we've been through an amazing liquidity event, right? In the last 1.5, 2 years, right? We haven't seen liquidity of this kind and this nature that we experienced in last 18 months, 24 months, right? What do you make out of this, right? Today, a lot of idea stage companies are getting funded. They don't necessarily need to go through an incubator. This is an event which is possibly going to continue for some more time, right? Listings is increased the confidence of investors that tech businesses are not necessarily overvalued businesses, right? They don't focus on revenues. Revenue is a key criteria for them, and this is something which is going to mature as we go along, right? People are going to have more trust. Do you feel and do you believe the role of incubators is going to increase while good companies get identified much faster in idea stage, good founders get identified much faster? Today, a lot of experienced professionals are actually quitting their jobs, right? 7, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years into their work experience, right? At 35, 36, 37, they're quitting their jobs and they're setting up companies, right? And raising very large rounds of funds very, very quickly on, right? Do you think the role of incubators is going to change? Because that's something which is going around, right? A lot of funds today are setting up accelerators, right? Sequoia has set up an accelerator, Lightspeed has set up an accelerator, or if not an accelerator, acceleration initiatives, right? Which are quick 3-month, 4-month programs, which just help businesses understand quick hacks, processes can impact the thinking methodology that they have, help them identify the right people, and very quickly within that very limited time zone, help them achieve much faster the milestones that they set out, right? What do you think is going to be the role of all of infrastructure that we're talking about at the incubation level going forward, right? Do you think more industry needs to come in? What's the way forward is what I understand.
So I think I'll break your question into 2-3 parts. The first is a macro level question regarding the liquidity. So liquidity is in the market for last 15 years. Not the first case. It was not there in India. It was elsewhere. Sure. It was in US, it was in European countries. Now the markets are maturing there, and people have seen the success of very large technology success. Right. And this liquidity has started coming to India. They realize this emerging market investment is interesting. The domestic market is very strong. Demand is very strong. The emerging middle class and the COVID has also led to the path towards alternate investment. We have seen in crypto, we have seen in NFT, and we have seen in the primary and secondary market. So that was the reason of these markets, because the other method of investment, gold, real estate, hotels, land, which has not remained so attractive. And the valuations have really been there. So the second point regarding the accelerator, which is like quick fix.
Right.
Somehow, though we as an incubator, we have also accelerator, but I don't subscribe to, as a professor of innovation and entrepreneurship,
Sure.
I don't subscribe to an idea of quick fixes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we are teaching the wrong things to the young startups to fix the quick things quickly, to move into the valuation or bech do.
Right.
That should not be the case. They should focus on solution and building up a long-term sustainable businesses.
Right.
Because making few people rich will not solve the problem of our country, will not solve the problem of even the businesses and the consumers. You are responsible for a consumer. You're responsible for your customers. You are responsible for your stakeholders.
Right.
You should not be fixing things. You should be building things.
Right.
So that hustle kind of attitude of being a fixer, which is more American attitude, I think should go away.
Right.
We should build up the, as I've been saying throughout this interview, science-based sustainable businesses.
Right.
That will see. We have to build up IBMs and Microsofts of the world, which will survive. It takes time to do that. Apple has been closed 3 times, 4 times themselves. Today, Apple, we are talking about Apple has taken 45 years to build up.
Right. Right.
You and me were born around the same time when Steve was thought of setting up an Apple.
Right.
So it takes time to build up a sustainable and strong businesses.
Right.
There are some help you can do in 3 months' time. Like how do you do an engineering in 3 months' time? How do you do an MBA in 3 months' time? How do you do, even how do you grow a kid from बच्चा पैदा होता है आगे बढ़ता है उसको 3 महीने में नहीं बढ़ सकते. So incubation is a process. So even my Sequoia friends and other friends are listening to it. So I would certainly say kindly invest your time, effort, and money in building up sustainable business, which will bring jobs, which will bring solutions, and build up a consumer confidence. Right. Number of businesses are starting doing some offering something, and the consumer feel cheated because there are 3 months, 4 months time, these are gone.
Right.
The wrong notion is coming to the young startups that we can do something and we can make a quick money. Startup is not about the quick money. Like if you recall in our MBA classes, we used to study the business is perpetual.
Right.
Business is an ongoing concern. These are the fundamental notes in our accounting and business classes. Business is an ongoing concern. Business is a perpetual. Business does not die.
Right.
Business goes on. People only change hand. Tatas are running for 150 years.
Sure.
How many Tatas have been chairman today? The Tata is not a chairman anymore. Still the business is running. It is going strong. So that way, if we build up that businesses, that's a trust level you build up, and you build up wealth for generations to come.
Interesting. Nikhil, a very important point that you highlighted, right? And I actually want to take up COVID as an example, right? I mean, India is a market which is operated at many levels and many layers, right? And this is a question that I've asked, I think, a lot of investors, a lot of founders, and I think a lot of policymakers as well, right? Now, what COVID has done is that the arbitrage that existed between a tier A city and a tier 2 city, right? And I come from a tier 2 city, right? Is actually gone, right? D2C is a new model which has emerged, right? We're not talking about physical retail anymore, right? Physical retail is an inefficiency. Real estate was an inefficiency which we built around for the longest time, right? Now that has gone away. The consumer psyche is now very different, right? The influence is very different. The consumer behavior is becoming very, very different, right? It's going to become very dynamic, right? It's going to change. A product life cycle is not going to be that of 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, right? A product life cycle is going to be of 18 months, 24 months, right? It's going to peak in about, say, 15, 17 months, right? And it's going to start to, come downhill from there onwards, right? The entire process needs to be re-engineered, right? My earlier question, and I'm sort of coming back to that, right? Do you think innovation and incubation, for example, right? Incubation is a very critical foundational stone of evangelizing innovation in a country like India. Do you think that needs to go through a change, right? Do we need to fast track the process of, bringing these startups to fore, right? We don't have the luxury of, for example, say incubating a company for 15 months, 17 months, 24 months, right? Do you think, and I understand, we can't have clear answers to that, say on as a date, right? But it could possibly be an orientation, right? What I want to understand is, do you think a lot of this, the consumer mindset, right, the consumership, the industry expectation will mean that the startups and innovation will have to be faster, right? How can incubators prepare for that is what I want to understand.
No, I think I will slightly disagree, Ashu, on this again notion of being in hurry. Though I believe in, but there are certain things that cannot be done in hurry. For example, we work a lot in biosciences. Bioscience, though we have come up with the COVID vaccine, but a lot of people don't know. A lot of people say that, okay, the COVID vaccine was there in 6 months' time. Can we find a cure for cancer? Why don't we find a cure for cancer for the last 40, 50 years? Why haven't we find a cure for AIDS for last 40 years, 50 years?
Sure.
That's not the case. The science takes time. Even if you, let's say, okay, can we start now, tomorrow we'll say, can we in 1 year time, can we set up a something on moon? Can we start living on Mars in 2 years time? That's not going to happen. Which require a lot of fundamental research of understanding the different material sciences, building up the faster rockets, the energy efficient batteries for the new kind of ailments that is suffering our body, the way our body is changing. That require a huge clinical research, and all the medicines, even COVID medicine, have been given the emergency node. They were not given the final node because the people were suffering. So there are certain startups which will take time because research and the COVID vaccine, which was built up on mRNA and other thing, has been there for 20, 30 years. This research is going on. Only we have reshaped it in a different manner. And the delivery of the vaccine, we have reshaped that method. That's a reason. So is a PV Sandhu that I have been working for 12 years and you call me overnight success. So 30 years the research is going on and the vaccine is built up in 6 months time. It is not built up in 6 months time. It's built up in last 30 years. Only the usage was found now. So number of things will not happen overnight. I will certainly disagree that fundamental scientific companies, that is a need of the next hour. It's not about like building up edhobi.com or something. I'll share with you some of the fundamental societal problems, right? How do we solve the problem of food? Food security. We are adding 50,000 people a day to this country. Can we find a solution to agriculture? So we are not here to build up companies which will sell lipsticks and food, but we have to actually build companies which can solve our problems. These are the sustainable companies. And again, I'm coming back to building up the sustainable companies. Startup is fine. Startup, the momentum is fine, but also it leads to the more speculation. The speculative part of the startup will go away. The business part of the startup, which will build up good companies, will stay. That's how we have seen, even in the US, some of the finest companies, give an example of Apple and Microsoft, they have seen thousands of churns. Google has failed maybe 5,000 times. Only few of their products succeeds. Some of the products like Google Trends or Google Chat or Google Glass or this and that, like we have disregarded them. Their phones we have disregarded them. But some of the things work. So failure is a part of the business. So we have to accept that. So it will take it because like the companies that we work in IIT, which are working on biosciences, material sciences, drone technology, even the cyber security, like how do you build up the most secured algorithm? How do you bring brilliance to your mind? That's a question. How do you find intelligence? How do you build up emotions to a robot? Now, these are the questions. This thing can happen tomorrow. This thing can happen. This thing may never happen, but you try. Somebody is building up a space aircraft which can take thousands of people. Like we have not seen. Like I want to see a startup which will do deep ocean diving. We have not seen, even after our technology. We don't have a company which can actually go deep down the ocean. I was recently visiting one of the ports in South India on the invitation of the Port Authority, and they want to build up a channel. Only the 3 kilometer, like from the anchorage to the port, only 3 kilometer tunnel is there. Now they want to build up a tunnel which is go deep down, deep in the sea for
Right.
25 kilometers. Now there is no such company in the country which can dig a tunnel inside the sea for 25 kilometers.
Right. Interesting. Nikhil, but do you think there's a need for change in mindset, right? I think we need to fast track our process of innovating, right? Like it's classically said, break things fast. The consumer is shifted, right? The consumer's orientation is. I completely understand and completely concur with what you're saying, right? There are certain fundamental innovations that take a lot of time, right? What is it that we can engineer or re-engineer to ensure that there is faster innovation which is happening? And I think institutions like yourself, right? At first, IIT Kanpur, right? There is a larger responsibility that you have. What are the things that we can do to fast track this entire process, right? Where the founders can.
Collaboration. So the best way to do it,
Sure.
particularly let's say the consumer products,
Right.
which can be fast tracked,
Sure.
or a certain knowledge that we can leverage. So certainly
Right.
the scientists do collaborate. The same way
Sure.
the startups need to learn to collaborate. If they can learn from each other, they can collaborate with each other, they can work with each other, they can merge
Sure.
some of their ideas. That can fasten the innovation. So you and me does not make 2, we make 11. That's
Right.
what the startups need to understand. And now there is a greater collaboration, what we have started seeing. That's what I think the organization like Sequoia and Accel Partners can do. They can bring all the ideas into one table and say, hey, we all are together in this journey. Can we merge our solutions and make it a larger solution? So like the way that Synergy sign works, it is one, and then so 2 things are coming, but that is becoming a 1. So
Sure.
the bigger solution 2 smaller things can make 1 thing big. That is something which is entirely possible, and it is happening in certain cases. Big companies do buy out small companies. We keep on seeing small buyouts are happening. So the big companies are also not building up innovation. Big startups are also not building on innovation. They're buying innovation, which is happening in the periphery.
Right.
So that collaboration, of course, if you have money, you can buy it, but it should not be the rich person's game. Even the small startups can come together and create something big. If you work with each other, you collaborate with each other, chances of you fast tracking your idea is much superior. So you have worked for 5 years on one thing. My friend has worked for 5 years on something. We come together, we created 25 years of research. We don't have to reinvent the wheel for another 25 years. So it could be 250 days, it could be 5 months. So that's something which we always promote, and we do that when the companies come in. We ask them to collaborate. We organize I would call them speed dating sessions between the companies. You like each other, you like the other person, get married, or at least go for a date. So understand, like it's an innovation date. Your innovation, my innovation meets together.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Nikhil, we're towards the end of the conversation, and how I want this conversation to go on, right? I mean, there are just so many facets to, I've been in the incubation space, right? I've been in the business acceleration space. I've had the opportunity of knowing a lot of these, founders that are getting listed and so on and so forth, right? And I kind of agree with what a lot of what you said, right? And how I want this conversation to go on. Unfortunately, we're towards the end of the conversation. My last 2 questions to you, Nikhil. What are going to be some of the key priority areas for first, right? What are some of the sectors that you're looking at? I mean, you alluded to a couple, right? For example, cybersecurity, you've already highlighted. Agri, you've already highlighted. AI, you've already highlighted, right? So you've highlighted a couple of sectors that are of interest to you, but at a larger level, right? If you could list them out, for example, how important is pharma, healthcare, right, and many other possibilities, right? I mean, India is a land of which can absorb a lot of opportunities, which can absorb a lot of startups, right? What are the key areas that you're focusing on? Next 2 years, what are the next 2 years going to be like for first?
So one thing which we are already working on is MedTech, because we are setting up a School of Medical Research and Technology at IIT Kanpur. So certainly that comes natural to us. We are also helping the government of UP in setting up the MedTech park in near Jewar Airport. There will be a separate incubation center which will be run by IIT Kanpur. So MedTech is one of the areas we want to work with, and we are working with. And second thing, which is closer to my heart, is government tech. Because the government tech, solving the problems of the government, provides help to millions of people, and of course build sustainable businesses.
Right.
In a smart city, wastage problem, logistic problem, traffic problem, hundreds of problems which are which the government is unable to solve, where
Right.
the startups can help. We call them Civitech. In fact,
Right.
not the government tech, but the Civitech.
Wonderful.
Civitech is the big opportunity in India.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Nikhil, my last question to you, right? You have an opportunity of meeting so many stakeholders, right? You work very closely with a lot of founders. What is that advice that you would want to give them, right? I would want this to be an occasion where you can, not just limit your advice to, the few that you mentor, but many others who are going to be watching this, right? And who will potentially apply to your programs. I'd love you to give them a piece of advice, right? What's important when you're building a business, right? When you're building a startup, your version of it.
So when I was growing up, I was not able to afford a Nike T-shirt, and I
Right.
saw that there Nike, and at that time India Nike was not there. So we went to Janpath to buy a fake Nike T-shirt, and the first Nike T-shirt which I bought it called "Just Do It," and I still follow that. Just
Right.
do it.
Interesting.
Do it for yourself. Do it for family. Do it for your girlfriend. Do it for your brother. Do it for your sister. Do it for money. Do it for a solution. Do it for society. Do it, but just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. And if you do it right, most likely you will do it long.
Super. Nikhil, with that, we bring the session to a close, right? It was phenomenal to have you with us. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. There are many other interesting things that you're doing. And I look forward to having you with us much sooner, where we discuss some of those specific aspects, right? There's some great work that you've done across COVID as well. I'd love to talk to you about that. But thank you for taking the time out for this first session. And like I said, right, we look forward to having you much sooner with us, where we deep dive into various portfolio companies that you have, all the great work that you're doing, and specific initiatives. And and more importantly, the impact that you're trying to sort of create for society, right, at large. I think the agenda at first is very different. It's much larger. It's much more meaningful, right? You're not just incubating innovation. You're literally sort of evangelizing impact at a different level, right? For all the stratas of society in the Maharashtra of India. Nikhil, it was a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Many thanks, Ashu. Pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.